Chandresh Narayan, who is an author and sports broadcaster, joining us. Mr. Narayan, thank you so much for speaking to us here at Mirror Now. What would you have to say about this development? You've probably been following this entire spectacle since it came to light. What do you have to say about this action that's been taken?
It's been surprising that this action has come about, and I think the sports ministry obviously has been keeping a track of all the shenanigans that has been happening around wrestling in India, and I think they were just waiting for an opportunity to strike. And this action, the sports ministry has been swift and sudden and very surprising to say the least. And I think it was just waiting to happen after what we saw with Sakshi Malik and Bajrang Punia the other day.
Why do you think they've been waiting for an opportunity to strike? Could you elaborate on that a bit?
I think the public outcry against what's been happening in the wrestling field is bound to also reach the sports ministry as well. I think they were just waiting for an opportunity because in terms of optics, whatever has been happening in wrestling for the past 12 months has been really very, very poor. I think it could have been managed a lot better than what it was. And I think the very fact that the strike has come just a couple of days after the new day has taken over tells you that they're just waiting for an opportunity to somehow set the record straight. And I think that's what has happened now. It'll be interesting to see what the world body feels about what the Indian government's action has been, because the world governing bodies in sports don't really like governments getting involved in sporting administration, unless, of course, it's for some other regulatory issues. And I think this particular action by the sports ministry is bound to get some reaction from the world governing body for wrestling as well. And it's going to be another interesting months in wrestling, in my view, because there's already all-round chaos. This will add to the chaos that is already existing in the sport.
Absolutely. It's being welcomed as a good step by those across the board, whoever we've been able to speak to. That includes sports persons as well. We also listened into a reaction from one of the protesting wrestlers, Bajrang Punia, who had to say that this was a welcome step, but it should have been taken earlier. What kind of impact do you think this is going to have on not just the wrestling community, but on the sports community as a whole?
I don't think that it will affect the sports community as much as it would affect wrestling. Because I think wrestling for the last 12 months, there's been a bit of chaos. I think it is very, very important for an order to be set. We hope that with the elections in the Wrestling Federation of India, some kind of order would be set, but that didn't happen because just a couple of days after the new wrestling setup, the wrestling administrative setup took charge, we've had this action by the sports ministry. And like I said, it will be interesting to see what the world governing body, how the world governing body for wrestling reacts. The wrestlers obviously will, the wrestlers who are against the existing, the officialdom of the Wrestling Federation of India will welcome this move that has happened. But in terms of the world governing body of wrestling, they will have some things to say for sure about this.
I'm curious about your opinion on the fact that Sakshi Malik, when she announced her retirement, everybody was devastated. It was a massive decision that was taken, a very firm decision that was taken by her as well. In fact, we're playing out those visuals of her walking to her car after she made the announcement. Very grief-stricken, of course. Do you think that this decision is likely to make her change her mind? Do you think it's something that she can maybe think over again? Could she maybe come back to wrestling if the sports ministry continues with their action against the WFI?
So I think the action of Sakshi Malik could be impacted, could be seen as, they could see probably a retraction from her, but I think she would want to see some proper action from the sports ministry, and whether this suspension of the Wrestling Federation of India is sustainable. If there's some kind of a permanency to this action by the sports ministry, then probably we might see Sakshi Malik returning to the fold. But if this is just a temporary suspension, or if she doesn't see any kind of permanent step attached to it, you might not see her coming back. So I think everybody's going to just wait and watch over what has happened with this, and we just have to hope that there's some kind of a solution found to this mess that is in wrestling for the past 12 months.
Absolutely. Mr. Narayanan, what I also want to ask you about is a list that had been released yesterday by the Sports Ministry. This was a list of expenditure on the 3 protesting wrestlers. You had Vinesh Phogat in that list. You also had Bajrang Punia. You also had Sakshi Malik. Now, what the Sports Ministry had cited in that list is that 66 lakhs in the year 2023 alone, this year alone, had been spent on the wrestlers. However, they did not exactly take part in many trials or competitions. What do you think about that action? What do you think about the optics of that, releasing that list?
I think more than you're talking about the money spent on the wrestlers. I think more than that, it's the fact that the wrestlers came out and said that they will not take part, and the action by Sakshi Malik, retiring and crying at the press conference, even Vinesh Phogat and Bajrang Punia returning his national award. All these things I think, are worse optics than the fact that money was spent on them. I think that's not the issue at all. I think that this fig leaf of the money spent on the wrestlers is used just to show that everybody's doing everybody a favor. Nobody's doing anybody a favor. It's part of the job that the wrestlers do, and the money spent on them is not really that much of a consequence in my view.
All right, Mr. Narayanan, thank you so much for speaking to us here at Mirror. We greatly appreciate your input on this. We'll continue to track the developments here. Right now, my colleague Krishma is going to get us more details on what's been taking place.